kidding, bid the forbidden, as it was written, you overbidding, with the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, unforgiving, cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin', if it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen, finger licking good, good looking, stewing in the stew, I'm cooking, you psyched out, paranoid and shookin', shook the table, spades I'm booking, get prepared for this ass whooping, listen to the words being spoken, you were talking, I'm awake and woken, while I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking, era up, a glimpse in my world, eyes shut open, parallel in my mind, I'm chosen, reverse the time, heart frozen, Antarctica cold as ice, casting locks, rolling dice, mean as nails, I'm nothing nice, they persecuted me like they rejected Christ. And show who you are, good riddance, is you kidding, bid the forbidden, as it was written, with the heathens, casting pearls on hog moms and chitlins, sloth, love, gluttony, pride, wrath, and envy, on my neck, literally, 7 deadly sins constantly, so now I gotta take this shit personally, I have no respect of personality, if you ain't with me, then you against me, Mother Nature, but I got allergies, allergic to bullshit, my pedigree to some degree. That you guys played it twice. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mouth Off with Meika. Today we have a special guest whose work beautifully intersects the realms of intellect, art, and activism. Kuhani is a renowned artist and activist, celebrated for their thought-provoking works and tireless advocacy for social justice. Through his art, Kuhani challenges societal norms, sparks critical conversations, and inspires change. Today, we delve into the mind and the heart of this incredible individual to explore the profound impact of intellect and creativity on activism. Good evening, Kuhani. How are you doing? Am I saying your name right? Am I saying your name right?
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you for joining us tonight, and I just want to ask you, can you tell us about your early life and the influence that shaped your journey into art and activism?
Okay. I would start off with my formative years in middle and high school, right? I went to a performing arts school that was Granson Arts Academy, where I was a theater major. For a very long time, I wanted to be an actor. One of my favorite actors is Jeremy Irons, Samuel Jackson, Ray Stevenson, and Jack Nicholson is another. And so when I was like in middle and high school, I was trained in theater by people who had MFAs, Masters of Fine Arts. That's like a PhD in the art world. And so I was in all types of theater plays, such as Othello, that was written by William Shakespeare, Macbeth, Dutchman by Amiri Baraka, and I learned the craft of theater. But then eventually, that started to change when I found out that a lot of actors, they be starving in LA, and I said, let me switch it to writing. And so, I really like trained myself in learning how to write screenplays, short stories, etc. Eventually, when I graduated, I was like voted the the next Leonardo DiCaprio or the next actor to make it in Hollywood. And so I graduate, I go to Harris-Stowe State University, and I kept noticing that Harris-Stowe State University didn't have a Black Studies program or Africana Studies program. So what I did was I went around. I got signatures of like 1,000 students, and we got the program off the ground with the help of a few of my professors who shall remain nameless. Um, I was always I always like growing up. I always saw that there was a bit of a intersection between the role of the arts and social and political consciousness.
You moving a little too far.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get to ask no questions. You just gonna tell it all. Huh?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, the intersection of art and activism. But oh well, you already tried to touch on that one. How did your upbringing and education contribute to your passion for social justice?
Um, for real, I think it was I started to look around and I saw that people who looked like me were oppressed. And I said to myself, I wanted to start to read the necessary literature on the subject, especially like in college. I started reading books like the Red Book, written by Mao Zedong, all of Frantz Fanon's works, um, and it started to like really broaden my horizons intellectually, and so I was able to kind of like intellectualize what our people go through on a daily basis. You know.
I'm
You
sorry,
can,
I'm muted and stuff. I'm sorry.
it's fine.
So, how do you define the relationship between art and activism in your work?
Um, I think that when we look at like specifically like writing, like in movies, um, every single piece of art there is, it's propaganda. Because if we're going to be honest, the majority of people that are walking around will get to know about a subject if it was made into like a movie or like a series. And so it kind of helps also when you study like literature of a particular like time period. It's like you start to see that's like a representation of the mindset of people at the time. And I kind of really figured that out when the movie Black Panther came out, where everyone was having the debate over was Killmonger right or was T'Challa correct. And
Mhm.
so when I saw that black people all over was having that dialogue, that made me really find out that art is very important. It's extremely important in terms of getting people to think. I believe that art should be forcing people to go forward, be progressive, and think about the things around them, you know. So I believe that art is extremely important. Representation in films and television is extremely important.
Okay. Um, can you share an example of a piece of your what kind of art you do theater? So a piece of your art that has had a significant impact on social issues.
I would say a long time ago when that's hard to think about. Um, I would say when I a long time ago in middle school I was Othello,
Mhm.
and Othello talks about interracial relationships. It talks about how someone could sow seeds of dissent in your ear to, make you go crazy and turn against, people around you. It's one of those timeless art pieces, that will always stand up. That's why there's like so many different, adaptions. And it kind of like it made me like realize, it's always good to, protect your mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So me bringing Othello to life was it was emotionally taxing,
Mm-hmm.
but people they said they liked the performance, you know.
Okay. That's what's up. Let me see. So, how do you balance the intellectual and emotional aspects of your work to create a compelling narrative?
Um, See, one of the things about writing is that one of the main rules is you have to write what you know. So, what I like to do is I love talking to people. And I noticed that, people live these strange kind of lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it always gives me ideas about like what to write about. I could come up with a particular character that is very similar, to people that I know in my life. And it's like you can kind of, bridge those together, like real life and fiction.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's see. Can you share a story or a triumph or breakthrough moment that validated your efforts?
Um, when the African Studies program at Harris Stowe was greenlit, and my professors told me that that's really a part of the curriculum. I felt extremely, accomplished. I cried because that was tough work going around asking for signatures. You
Mm,
know, that was, you know, it, so my efforts, paid off, and I felt accomplished. But there's still more work to do.
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stop until I'm in the ground.
How does community engagement and collaboration play a role in what you do?
I think that collaboration is very important, and it's very important to try to always understand what the average black person is thinking. Because a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but at the end of the day, the average the average black person is who you have to answer to. And
Mm,
so to a very large extent you have to be, um you have to, how should I say, you have to answer to them, and you have to take heed of the criticisms that they give you, no matter what it is. And I think
mm,
collaboration is important because everybody does not have all of the answers.
mm,
That's the most important thing. I notice with some people that they want to parade themselves like they have all the answers, but sometimes one person can't do everything alone.
right, right. Um, let's see. What advice would you give to emerging artists and activists who want to make a difference?
I would say to people that want to make a difference in art and activism is you have to, if you are going to write something that's going to change the world or change people's thought processes, do it as a revolutionary or as a servant to your people, and make sure that it causes dialogues that might change the trajectory of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And for activists, I would always say start rather, I wouldn't say start, I would say like start small, whether it be at your, local school or like anywhere in your neighborhood, so that way you'll be able to put your ideas into practice and then you can go further,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Right, right. Um, what projects are you currently working on?
Some projects gonna have to remain secret, but I'm working on a project, a writing project right now that is based on a friend that I know,
Mm-hmm.
and the life that she's living right now is very tragic. It's a serious tearjerker. And also I'm working for someone who's very famous that's in the UK
Mm-hmm.
on the final edition of his book, and he wants me to write a whole chapter in this book specifically on African resistance movements in the
Mm-hmm.
colonial period, as well as even even in the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, I'm reading books like the autobiography of Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seale, Stephen Biko, and I've literally just buried myself in my library, and I've just been like reading, reading, reading. So
Mm-hmm.
those are my two projects.
And what can we expect from you in the near future? Oh, we already did that one. How do you envision the future of art and activism evolving over the next decade?
Um, what I see with art right now is that, especially in media, with television shows and movies, it seems that people are kind of getting disenchanted with, how should I say, the woman who is, the action star for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, people are feeling that there is like a forcing of particular narratives.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm starting to see is eventually I think that it's gonna kind of revert back to the action films of like the 70s and 80s,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like Rutger Hauer, the stereotypical action star.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing, but I kind of see it. And what was the second part of the question?
I said, okay. How do you envision the future of art and activism evolving over the next decade? And the next question is your work often reflects. Oh, yeah. Are you into philosophy at all?
I'm not a philosopher.
Okay. What methods do you use to measure the impact of your art on social change, and how do you adapt your approach?
Um, I would say that, I would say again that, you know, I always write stories that, that I know, or if I'm trying to go past that, I would look at like, I'll write stories based on events that happened, with the things that I'm interested in. And I would try to make like a fictionalized version of that.
Mm, okay, let me see. I'm going through my questions here. How do your personal did I ask you this? How do your personal experiences and identity shape your work?
Mm, ooh, that's a tough question. Um, can we get back to that?
Okay. What challenges have you faced in ensuring that your work authentically represents the community?
I would
And
say, uh,
mhm. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
um, you said my art reflects the community, right?
Yeah.
Um, hmm. I think that like I say the hardest thing is I'm trying I'm struggling trying not to write the stereotypical black story that you see in Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
where there's like always a underworld aspect, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to come up with an idea where the underworld does not really exist with my black characters that I'm trying to write in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's kind of hard. That's what I'm like struggling with.
Okay. Um, so how do you navigate the complexity of the representation within your work?
Um, hmm, can we skip that one as well? Like,
How does community engagement and collaboration play a role in what you do?
you asked that one.
I did.
Mm,
Okay, how has technology influenced your artistic side?
hmm. I'm finding out that and this is kind of the thing that I'm afraid of is that now like Chat GPT is starting to write like screenplays
Mm-hmm.
to where like a lot of writers feel that they're kind of in danger because they're gonna you know they're afraid that they're gonna be replaced by AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the writer strike was about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to find ways right now how I can use Chat GPT to like write a screenplay in the future. So I'm getting more technologically oriented.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, how do you feel about AI? Do you think that we should use AI? We should use AI, or what's your thoughts on it?
I think we should use advancing technology. I
Mm-hmm.
think some people with the criticisms of AI, it seems that they watch too many Terminator movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I believe AI is a tool just like a pencil and a pen. Well, a pencil and a paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a tool, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of feel like that. It could be utilized as a tool if it's used the right way. Um, but how do you feel about the sentient AI, the ones that supposedly they grow in knowledge or whatever?
You're talking about like transhumanism.
I guess you could say that more like how can I say it? I guess that's transhumanism to me is like a human that changes into or a robot. Well, maybe it is transhumanism. What's the definition of that? It could be because that's when a robot changes into a human.
No. What it is what I've like seen so far is that I think there's people there. I know that they've gotten technology where you could like upload your consciousness into like a computer, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget there was an inventor that I forget his name, but it was like a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting kind of it's getting strange, you know.
Mm.
So
You think it's getting strange?
yes.
Mm. Yeah, it is. It's, I mean, so okay. Are there any emerging technology or platforms that you're excited about integrating into your future work? Like, is there any platforms that you like using, or do you integrate whatever art you do with technology or any social media platform?
Um, the only technology that I'm using pretty much right now is my computer
You
to
don't
write
use
my.
do you use social media?
I do.
Okay. Okay. What social media platforms do you use mostly for that?
I don't. I don't use like social media to try to market my written work yet.
Mm, okay. Um, let's see. Give me a second. How do you approach the ethical considerations of producing and sharing art, particularly when dealing with sensitive social issues? What are wait
Um,
first before you even answer that? What are some social issues that concern you? First of all,
uh, African people being
mm,
oppressed.
yeah, okay, okay. How do you feel that they're oppressed?
Um, it's in all area of activity. In terms of media, um, mass incarceration,
Mm-hmm.
um, education. It's all areas. You know,
Okay. So how do you, okay, so mass incarceration, how do you think that oppresses us? How
um, it's Mika. Could
what
you do me a favor?
what happened? You want me to bring up something?
No, no. Could you look at the comment that I put in the private chat?
Why, what's going on?
Uh, did you see the comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I I think we should I think we should try again on this
Why?
because it's not it, it the interview is not turning out very well.
What's the problem?
I, it's just uh I, I um well
Is it hard for you to answer the questions?
yeah, yeah, it's just you know I didn't know that this was improvisation.
Who?
um
You didn't know this
I
was
didn't.
improvisation.
Yeah, this is kind of like free balling. So could we try this again? Just
Well, the reason why I asked you how do you feel mass incarceration
no,
oppress us, because there are black people who really don't think that mass incarceration has anything to do with oppression. So for those that's unknowing, of course I know the answer to the question. I see how it has affected us. I see how there's fatherless children due to mass incarceration. I mean, it's not a hard question to answer, is it? You know,
I don't,
there's fatherless children. Children are raised in a single mother home. Then you have a mother who has to go out there and try to take care of the home. Then she comes back. You know what I'm saying? She gotta get babysitters, and then the children grow up thinking they don't have nobody to take care of them. It's just a whole bunch of reasons why mass incarceration could affect the community, right? So I was just trying to see, like, you know, for you to give me a little bit more detail on what you thought about mass incarceration, you know, and what other things that you see going into in society that may oppress Black folks.
Could you look at the other comment I just made?
Okay.
Yeah.
Show who you are. Good riddance. Educated, bid the forbidden. As it was written, you overbid it. With the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, I'm forgiving. Cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin'. If it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. Finger licking good, good looking. Stewing in the stew, I'm cooking. You psyched out, paranoid and shookin'. Shook the table, babes, I'm booking. Get prepared for this ass whooping. Listen to the words being spoken. You were talking, I'm awake and woken. While I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking. Era up, a glimpse in my world, eyes shut open. Parallel in my mind, I'm chosen. Reverse the time, heart frozen. Antarctica, cold as ice. Casting lots, rolling dice. Mean as nails, I'm nothing nice. They persecuted me like they